Imagine automating network changes, but requiring manager approval or approval from another engineer before the workflow executes, or approval for specific steps in the workflow. That's the power of workflow approvals in AWX, and today we are setting them up. So, for example, we have this simple device health check workflow that let's assume is part of a larger workflow we execute within our maintenance window. This workflow must successfully execute end to end before we can proceed with a change in our maintenance window. So let's assume that we're in a maintenance window and we execute this workflow. Let's see the outcome. We launch workflow, we check our device version, we proceed to check for chassis alarms and resources in parallel. After chassis alarms, we proceed to check for any system alarms. Well, it failed. Let's look at why this failed. So if we look at the system alarm notes right here, and we look at this step, YAML, it says active alarms detected on this device. And the alarm is that we have a license which is about to expire. Well, it could be that this should not be a blocker to executing our maintenance, or even our maintenance is meant to address this alarm to activate some new licenses. So you don't want to block the maintenance because of this. But as it stands, we are unable to proceed with our maintenance. So how do we fix this? Well, we can use the logic of approvals. So what we can do is that in our device health check workflow, say that after the system alarm executes, let's add a checkpoint. This checkpoint will be an approval checkpoint where another engineer takes a look at the output of this execution and makes a decision whether we should approve this workflow to continue or we should deny. Because, well, it could be that the alarm should block this maintenance. So there should be the option to approve or deny. So let's look at this. So we would add a node here between system alarms and storage. But the logic is that if the system alarms job template or node fails, then let's go and seek for approval. So we add, on failure, we select our node type of approval. We call this L2 approval. Then we'd say that this approval should be active for 30 minutes. And we can give a description here. So let's say second level approval. Then we save. So the logic now is that, hey, if our system alarm executes and it fails, let's seek for approval. And if we approve, then we proceed to check for storage and system memory. So let's save this. But we need to say who can approve and who can't approve. So we look at access control. So we have teams and we have users. What we'll do is that we have two users, admin level 1, admin level 2. These are normal users. Both of them are part of our NetOps team. So we'll say that NetOps teams will give you a role, and the role pertains to workflow job template. And the specific job template you are looking at is device health check. And so far as you are in this team, you can execute and read. So admin level 1 and admin level 2 can execute this workflow job template. But we need admin level 2 alone to be able to approve. So admin level 2 roles we add for workflow job template. Which job template? Device health check, and we say you approve. So what we've done is that for this workflow job template, we are saying if we execute system alarms, it fails, go and seek for approval. And the approval, only admin level 2 can approve this. So let's execute this. We launch, we check our system version. We proceed to check for chassis alarms and resources in parallel. Then we check for our system alarms. System alarms failed, and now we need level 2 approval. So let's do this. Let's log in first as admin level 1 and see what admin level 1 can do or can't do. So we are logged in as admin level 1. There is a notification for admin level 1 pending workflow approvals. So we look at this and it's our device self-check workflow. We click on the name and we can see details of this workflow. We go back, we look at the job and we can see exactly what we are executing and what is failing. So we can look at the system alarms, check the output, look at the failed task, and see that, okay, we have an active system alarm and this pertains to a license which is about to expire. It's a minor alarm. This shouldn't block our maintenance, right? So let me go ahead and approve this. I have the option to approve, deny, or cancel the workflow. If I click on approve, I'm told that failed to approve because I don't have the permission to perform this action. Now let's log in as admin level 2 and look at what admin level 2 sees and what they can do. So I'm logged in as admin level 2. I have one notification. I can look at the details of the workflow. If you took note, you would have seen that for admin level 1, when we checked the details of the workflow job, we didn't see the approve, deny, or cancel within this view. Now, if you look at the details of the execution, admin level 2 can also see the output. Okay, we have a failed task. This failed task relates to a license which is about to expire. Well, they shouldn't block our maintenance, or in our maintenance would fix this. So I am good to approve this. So we approve, we check our job template, device self-check, just successfully executed this execution. Now, in the permissions we gave, we said that the NetOps team should be able to execute and read this workflow job template. So let's see if this works. So admin level 2, we have device health check. Can I execute here? Let's execute. We are checking the version of our device. We check chassis alarm and resources. We look at our system alarms. It failed. Approval. We approve. Can go back to our jobs. We see our device self-check running. Because if approved, we are now on system storage. And finally, we look at our system memory. And let's try this with admin level 1, just to be sure that this works. So we are logged in as admin level 1. We go to templates and we can execute this because admin level 1 is part of the NetOps team, and the NetOps team has execute and read permissions. So we check our version, we check chassis alarms and resources simultaneously. After chassis alarms, we check for system alarms. System alarms fail and we have an approval. Because we are logged in as admin level 1, we can't approve. Neither can we deny. We don't have those permissions. Okay, so let's go back to our admin system administrator account. So we have jobs. We have this job running. And we have this approval. We approve. So if you go back to jobs here, we have device self-check running. So let's wait for this to execute. Then we would look at one more thing before we end this lesson. Okay, this completed successfully. Now let's take a close look at this device health check workflow. Currently, we have an active alarm on our device, system alarm. If you look at our device, and we do show system alarms, we have this alarm. So it is because of that alarm that this node fails? What if we are running this workflow against a device without any system alarms? Show version will pass, chassis alarm will pass, resources would pass, system alarm would pass. This node would execute successfully. But guess what? We don't have a checkpoint for on success. So what will happen is that this workflow would terminate at this point. It will say that, well, the workflow successfully executed, but none of these nodes would execute. We can address that with a branching logic. The logic is simple. If we run the system alarms and it fails, let's seek for approval. But if it passes, there is no point to seek for approval. We can go straight to the system storage node and execute. How do we do that? We add a link to an available node. So we add a link to system node and we say, to system storage, and we say on success. So the logic here is that we execute the system alarms. If there are no system alarms, this node would execute successfully. On successful execution, go straight to system storage. But if this node fails, or if the execution of this node fails, then go and seek for L2 approval. So up to this point, we've covered every single section within our AWX environment. We've covered dashboards, jobs, schedules, activity stream, workflow approvals. We've looked at all elements under resources. We've looked at assets, and we have our administration. And by the way, we can schedule this workflow. We can add a schedule and say execute at specific times. We can also add notifications to this. We already have this set. So if we go to our alerts channel, we should see all the executions. So the last one, we had 2040 successfully executed. If you go back to our job executions, our last one is 2040. If you find this series helpful or interesting, kindly hit like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.